The trailer for Superman Legacy, the new movie about the Man of Steel, has finally been released. The preview is full of details, references, and interesting curiosities. That's what we'll talk about here. Today on Charlietales, we'll analyze the trailer scene by scene, and I'll tell you everything you need to know about Superman Legacy. Ready? Let's begin. The trailer starts with Superman falling into a frozen area. He looks pretty injured, and his position seems to reference the iconic death of Yamcha in Dragon Ball Z. Interestingly, Superman is unable to move, and to get out of the problem, he asks for help from Krypto, the superdog. It was confirmed some time ago that Krypto would be part of this movie. Superman tells Krypto to take him home, so we can understand that he'll take him to the Fortress of Solitude. This is Superman's iconic base, usually located in a frozen area like Antarctica. But why is Superman immobilized? The first thing I thought was that maybe he was shot with a kryptonite bullet. This idea is quite common in the comics and usually leaves Superman paralyzed. Later in the same trailer, we see this scene of Lex Luthor holding a weapon. I don't think it's a coincidence. In Superman's scene, we can't see any bullet on his body, but we must remember that trailers often hide things with CGI to avoid giving us spoilers. Personally, I think a kryptonite bullet would explain this situation. We're shown some scenes of Clark Kent working as a reporter at the Daily Planet. As we can see, Clark's appearance is very different compared to Superman's. This might be the first time an actor has managed to create such a stark difference between their superhero version and civilian version. We are also introduced to Lois Lane, who looks at Clark suspiciously. Something important happened, and she knows Superman is involved. The scene makes me think that in this movie, Lois doesn't know Clark's secret identity, but she has suspected it for a long time. That's why she watches him so much. In later scenes, we see them kissing, so the movie will likely end with Clark revealing his identity, and the two of them becoming a couple. Here below, we have the first appearance of Jimmy Olsen. In the comics, he's a young reporter who supports Clark and Lois. He appears briefly in the trailer, but photos of him have already been released, allowing us to better appreciate his final appearance. In these Daily Planet scenes, they hide a pretty important detail. Both Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, and Clark are holding newspapers and reading an important story. If we zoom in on this news, we'll read the following text. It says that something called the Hammer of Baravia caused great destruction in the city. What does this mean? In the picture, we can see a person standing, so we can infer that this being is called the Hammer of Baravia. But what is Baravia? In the trailer, Baravia is introduced as a fictional country representing the Middle East. It seems the movie will address a political and military conflict that causes the people of Baravia to suffer. Later in the trailer, we see this television showing news about Baravian troops being at the border. We're also shown a Baravian child asking Superman for help. The Baravia conflict will be very important to the story, but most importantly, we have no idea who the Hammer of Baravia will be. Let's talk about Lex Luthor. This new version, played by Nicholas Hoult, appears in several parts of the trailer. Although they don't show much, James Gunn confirmed long ago that Luthor will be extremely important. As a fun fact, the actor Nicholas Hoult revealed some time ago that he auditioned for Superman and was among the top 3 finalists. But in the end, he didn't get the role and stayed on as Luthor. The trailer hides Lex Luthor well, but he's responsible for almost everything shown on screen. I'll explain everything in the following points. In this scene, Superman fights against a figure in a black suit. This character appears very briefly, but we know he's Ultraman. Thanks to set photos, we can see the character in full. This villain will be one of the main rivals in the story, although he'll probably have nothing to do with the comic version. In the comics, Ultraman is a version of Superman from another universe. However, in the movie, it's rumored that he'll be a clone of Superman, created by Lex Luthor. This villain would have the same powers and strengths. That's why in the photo, we can see how he's subdued the Man of Steel. Here we see a white-colored character looking at the camera. He's Metamorpho, a DC hero created more than 60 years ago. He has the power to alter his body and turn it into any element of the periodic table. He can turn into vapor or water and can also create weapons with his limbs. The trailer doesn't show much of Metamorpho, but there's a scene where Superman is in the offices of a place called Stag Industries. In the comics, they created Metamorpho. So this Superman scene is likely related to his creation. We move to a scene of Superman hugging his father, Jonathan Kent. Both look quite distraught, so we can infer that something bad happened. If I had to guess, I'd say something happened to Martha Kent, Superman's mother. In the comics, it's quite common for Superman's father to die of natural causes. This is done to teach Superman a lesson about how he can't save everyone. This idea has been used many times in movies and series. but it would be interesting if James Gunn's version turned the idea around, and it was Martha who passed away. This would explain the scene. In this image, Superman cries over the death of a robot. But what is this machine? The robot is one of the classic guardians of the Fortress of Solitude. We've seen these robots in comics and animation, but never in live-action films. This scene indicates that Superman's fortress will be attacked during the movie. Here we see a scene of a child raising a Superman flag. The image references the classic photo of soldiers with the American flag. Nothing strange, as Superman was initially considered a symbol of patriotism. However, there's a significant difference. The child in the story isn't American, but from Boravia, a fictional country representing the Middle East. It seems the movie gives us a message about how Superman isn't just a symbol for the United States, but for the entire planet. This is the first look at Green Lantern Guy Gardner. In this scene, Superman is booed by several people, and Green Lantern uses his powers to seal the doors, so no one can enter. We don't know much else about the scene, but it's probably related to Metamorpho's creation, as I mentioned earlier. Green Lantern is played by Nathan Fillion, a close friend of James Gunn, who has appeared in many of his movies. We saw him in Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad. Remember, James Gunn likes to give roles to his friends and family whenever he can. The trailer also features Hawkgirl. We see several short scenes of her character. She's played by Isabella Merced, whom we recently saw in the movie Alien Romulus. They don't tell us much about her, but it's implied that she works alongside Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific. The three are part of a team of heroes that will clash with Superman at various points in the story. Let's talk about Mr. Terrific. He appears several times in the trailer. This character has several unique traits. First, he's one of the smartest men on Earth. He doesn't have superpowers, but because he's a genius, he created spheres called T-spheres. These allow him to fly and serve to defend and attack. In fact, in this scene, we can see how he uses the spheres to create a force field and protect both himself and Hawkgirl. The trailer shows a giant monster fighting Superman. This is a kaiju, and it's been rumored for a while that we'd see one in the movie. In this image, we can see how the kaiju almost kills a girl, but Superman saves her. We're not given much context about the creature, but leaks give us some hints about its origin. A supposed Superman Legacy toy list was revealed some time ago. This list mentioned a Lex Luthor toy with a baby kaiju. So far, the leaks have proven true, so I believe Luthor will be responsible for creating the kaiju in the movie. The trailer also shows us that the kaiju can breathe fire, which connects to this final scene of the trailer. Here we see Superman emerging from the flames to fly into the sky. This makes me think that during the fight with the kaiju, Superman will be losing and will need to fly to the sun to recharge his energy. Perhaps he could defeat the kaiju with a single blow by falling from the sky. That's all for today. If you liked the video, you'd really help me out by leaving a like. That would be legendary. Also, remember to subscribe to see more videos like this. Thanks for listening. My name is Charlie, and I'll see you in the future.